What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for stopping by. Hopefully you're having a great day so far. And before we get into the video, I did have a full edited video ready to go for you guys reviewing the week 1 matchup against the Patriots. But unfortunately, I don't even know how I did it. I accidentally wiped my entire hard drive with all of my content and all of the progress that I had made for that video. So unfortunately, I am not going to be giving you guys a post-game review of the week 1 matchup against the Patriots. It's super frustrating and I'm really sorry. I don't really even know how I did it, but I accidentally wiped everything clean. So we're starting fresh, and I've got a different kind of video for you guys. Still going to touch on the week 1 matchup for sure. And so as you guys can see from the title, we're going to be talking about the top 5 standout performances from week 1 from the Miami Dolphins. So guys, if you like the content on the channel, you enjoy what you're seeing, definitely feel free to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you can be kept up to date with all of the awesome Dolphins content we have on the channel. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into our top 5 standout performances from week 1, and that is going to start with number 5, Bobby McCain. So Bobby McCain definitely had a solid day, but it was also super quiet. And I think that for defensive backs, that's actually a really good thing. If you don't hear their name a ton, it A, either means that they're not getting thrown at, or B, they're not getting beat. So definitely a good thing that Bobby McCain had more of a quiet day, but it was full of solid performance as well. So like I said, it was a pretty quiet game, but he did have a couple of key plays. I was really happy to see a solid punch out. He had a really nice pass breakup in the first quarter against Julian Edelman. The Patriots were making a pretty solid drive. They were running the ball really well on the Dolphins line, and Cam Newton threw a pass right over the middle, caught by Julian Edelman, and as he was coming down, Bobby McCain had a solid punch out, knocked the ball dead, and that kind of halted the Patriots' drive. It was a really kind of momentum shifting play for the Dolphins, and after that point, the Patriots went 3 and out. They wound up punting, and that was the end of the story for that first drive for the Patriots. So really nice job by Bobby McCain to kind of take control of that drive and stop the Patriots in their tracks. Also, no blown coverage that I saw. It's a pretty good day for Bobby McCain at free safety, and definitely kind of set the table for what he can do for the remainder of the season. So Bobby McCain is the number 5 standout performance from week 1 against the Patriots. Number 4 is going to be Jerome Baker. He had a pretty good day. Nothing ridiculous, but he had a solid day. He tallied, I'm going to read from my notes here just real quick. Baker tallied 16 total tackles, 1 sack, and a forced fumble, and that forced fumble did save a touchdown as the Patriots were driving, and he kind of knocked the ball loose on the 1-yard line, went into the end zone, and went out. So that was a touchback, and we regained possession of the ball. So Baker was all over the place, and I think that's something for those of you who watched the game probably noticed that Jerome Baker was just all over the field, always in a play, always making tackles, always involved in what was going on the defensive side of the ball, and that's something that you really need to have in a 3-4 scheme defensively. Now, there was one play that I didn't like from Jerome Baker. It was a little bit of blown coverage that was coming against Ryan Izzo, the Patriots tight end. He was following him down the middle, and then Izzo kind of just made a sharp cut and kind of sat right in the middle of the field. It was wide open, and Jerome Baker could have stuck to him a little bit better, but he wound up kind of getting tied up, turned around, and Izzo had the ball for a relatively significant gain through the air. So there was some blown coverage from Jerome Baker, but aside from that, it was a really good day for him. He was always around the ball, always doing his thing, and I definitely like to see that. So that's the reason why Jerome Baker is going to be the number 4 standout performance from week 1. Okay, so number 3 on our list, sitting dead in the middle, is going to be Myles Gaskin. So if I would have told you guys that in week 1 of the NFL season, having picked up Jordan Howard and Matt Breida in free agency, and then also trading for Matt Breida during the draft, if I had told you that in week 1, Myles Gaskin was going to carry the most out of all running backs, see the most field time out of all running backs, and have the most receptions in the passing game out of all running backs, you would probably think that I'm crazy. So looking at the stats, he carried the ball 9 times for 40 yards. That was a rate of 4.4 yards per carry. He also caught 4 passes for 26 yards, which it's not a ton, but it's still good to see him active in the passing game as well, and it offers some versatility for defenses to have to keep up with. Now, this was a really solid day for Myles Gaskin, and I'm going to be honest, it wasn't something that I was totally expecting coming into week 1, even though he did have a really solid training camp. And, you know, if you guys look back at some of the articles that I linked in the description, kind of walking you through the training camp periods, Myles Gaskin was a really big standout performer from those training camps. It's just the fact that we picked up Jordan Howard and we paid him, and the fact that we traded for Matt Breida, who is an established running back in the NFL, I just really wasn't expecting to see Myles Gaskin perform to the level that he did on Sunday. All in all, I think Myles Gaskin showed a ton of potential during Sunday's matchup in New England, and I think as well, you know, like I said with Bobby McCain, it kind of sets the table for what he can do long-term for the Dolphins if he's used properly. All right, so for our number 2 standout performance of the week, the runner-up is going to be Austin Jackson. So this is another quiet but super solid day, and from Austin Jackson as a rookie left tackle, this is something that I was absolutely ecstatic to see. So from the stats, he gave up 0 sacks, 0 penalties, and really barely gave up any pressures as well on Ryan Fitzpatrick. I really only remember him giving up 1 significant pressure on Ryan Fitzpatrick. He did get beat around the edge, but Fitzpatrick rolled away from that and got rid of the ball off to the sideline. It was not a completed pass, but it wasn't anything really significant. There were no quarterback knockdowns from Austin Jackson that I remember. So to me, he had a really, really solid day, and it was something that was extremely promising when I was watching his performance on Sunday. You know, for a prospect who came under a ton of scrutiny when the Dolphins selected him, I think that Austin Jackson had a terrific day. The offensive line consistently through the game was so much improved over last year's, and I think it was a huge bright spot on Sunday. So if you look at the offensive line from last year, you know, who we were consistently putting on the field week to week, by this time that Ryan Fitzpatrick eventually did get sacked, and that was only 5 minutes left in the game, guys, he would have either been sacked, knocked down, or significantly pressured so many times throughout that game. I mean, he would have been running for his life the majority of the game, and that just was not the case on Sunday, which was absolutely fantastic to see. And a lot of that had to do with Austin Jackson. He really did have a solid performance, and I have to eat my words there because I really just didn't think that with the first week of the season, with 4 new starters, 2 new rookies, and no OTAs, you know, barely any camps, and absolutely no preseason, I was expecting this offensive line to come out and really struggle to protect Fitzpatrick, but then also open up any kind of holes for the running backs as well. And I was really proven wrong, and I'm happy that I was. As a Dolphins fan, I don't ever want to be right when I'm talking about the possibility of the team not doing well. I'd always rather them prove me wrong, and they definitely did that on Sunday, especially the offensive line, and I am absolutely shocked. I'm so surprised in the best way possible when I consider just the way that Austin Jackson performed and the offensive line as a whole. They really just kind of showed up and they performed like they've been playing with each other for years. That is absolutely cause to put Austin Jackson and almost the entire offensive line at the number 2 spot for our top 5 performances from week 1. So with how well I say the offensive line performed, in my opinion, and I would like to get your guys' opinion on that too. Do you think that the offensive line performed as well as I thought? With me saying all of that, why are they only at number 2? Well, this one's a pretty easy one. There was one player through the game consistently for Miami who absolutely shined the entire time. The number 1 performance for the Miami Dolphins in week 1 against the Patriots was easily, far and away, Christian Wilkins. To say that this week was an improvement and a step forward against what he did last year as a rookie would be such an understatement. It would be criminal because Wilkins was absolutely all over the place. So looking at his stats, he had 6 total tackles, 1 sack, a couple of nice plays against the run, 1 tackle for a loss if I'm not mistaken, but he also had 2 batted passes at the line of scrimmage. Wilkins just flat out had a great day. He was always active on the line, always using his hands, trying to get in between the ball and the receiver on the line of scrimmage. He was just constantly trying to make an impact, and you definitely saw his motor in week 1, and that's something that I love. For those of you who follow the Dolphins on social media and stuff, know that Christian Wilkins is a big personality. He's a big, funny guy. He likes to mess around a lot. And so when you get a guy like that, a lot of times you also get someone who has a high motor in game, and we saw a ton of that in week 1 from Christian Wilkins. So in my opinion, I think the fact that we added as many players as we did to this defensive line, and some of them are established, you know, guys like Shaq Lawson, that's an established guy. Someone like Kyle Van Noy, he's established in the NFL. They're good players. Now, by any means, are they all pro, you know, the best of their position? No, but they are serviceable starters. They are good NFL players. And so because of that, I think that adding those guys to the defensive line really does free up Christian Wilkins to do a little bit more one-on-one work with an offensive lineman who's guarding him. So if you remember last year, Christian Wilkins was getting double teamed a ton because, well, who did the offensive line have to really focus on? We had Taco Charlton, we had Charles Harris, we had, you know, it was pretty much a really weak defensive line. We didn't get really hardly any pressures. We barely, I mean, our leading sack leader on the team last year was Taco Charlton, and I think he had 6 sacks. So, you know, last year, Christian Wilkins got a lot of the focus from the opposing team's offensive line. And this year, I think that offensive lines just can't afford to focus as much on one person because we do have a handful of guys who can make an impact. I think it was really easy to see that Christian Wilkins had help on Sunday, even if we didn't as a whole get a ton of pressures or a ton of knockdowns or sacks or anything like that. I think that it helped Christian Wilkins to have that help on the line because it frees him up to do more work one-on-one, which is absolutely a great thing for the Dolphins. So your number one standout performance from the day is far and away Christian Wilkins. This guy had a ridiculous day. So guys, that is your top 5 standout performances from week 1 from the Miami Dolphins. Let me know your thoughts down below. Did I forget anybody, leave anybody out that you thought performed pretty well on week 1 as well? Definitely leave your thoughts, comments, concerns, all that stuff in the comment section below, and we will definitely be talking about it. As always, guys, we do really appreciate you stopping by to check out the content. And like I said before, if you enjoy what you're seeing on the channel, definitely subscribe, like, and hit that bell so that you can be kept up to date with all the awesome content that we do have coming out. And we've got a lot of cool stuff coming out really soon for you guys as well. So thanks a ton for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoy your day. Have a good week. I will see you on the weekend to cover the next game for the Miami Dolphins against the Buffalo Bills. So take it easy, guys. I'll catch you next time. And as always, fins up.
Miami Dolphins, Miami